Most people think the darkest chapters of Canadian history ended long ago, but some of the most devastating abuses happened much more recently. For decades, from the 1960s into the 1980s and even later, Indigenous women in Canada were forcibly sterilized without their consent. Hospitals, government programs, and medical authorities targeted Indigenous women, especially those from remote communities. Some were told they needed surgery for their health, only to wake up and discover they had been sterilized without knowing. Others were pressured to sign consent forms in languages they couldn't read, or threatened with losing their children if they refused. The reasons given were chilling: to control Indigenous population growth, to relieve social burdens, to assimilate Indigenous peoples faster. But the truth was simple. It was a violation of human rights, a continuation of colonial violence, and an attempt to erase Indigenous peoples, not through war, but through silence and medical betrayal. Many survivors carry the scars not just physically, but emotionally, robbed of the chance to have families, to pass on their culture, their language, their traditions. Few were ever given justice. Most were ignored. And many Canadians today still don't know this happened, or pretend it was some distant history, rather than a crime that continued into modern times. The forced sterilization of Indigenous women is not just a dark page in history. It is a wound still open. It is part of a system that devalued Indigenous lives, Indigenous futures, and Indigenous motherhood. Their stories must be heard. Their rights must be honored. And their stolen futures must never be forgotten.